views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Russell. Welcome to the Healing Light Podcast. I am a psychic intuitive who's been reading tarot cards for over 25 years. I'm also Reiki certified. Join me as I read cards, share intuitive messages, promote healing, and much, much more. So I wanted to welcome everyone to the next episode of the Healing Light podcast. My name is Caitlin Russell. I am your host. As always, I'd like to thank Paranormal Buzz Radio for being my sponsor, as well as Shay, who runs this like a smooth sailing ship. Before we get to Stacey, my guest, I wanted to remind everyone that you can find me and all the social media sites, Instagram, now X, formerly Twitter, TikTok even. Facebook, I have a group, as well as a page, The Healing Light NH. If you have, as always, any questions, show suggestions, guest suggestions, please email me at thehealinglight1@gmail.com. So again, that's The Healing Light, and that's the number 1 at gmail.com. So thank you very much. And thank you, Stacey, for being my guest on the Healing Light podcast. We'll get to where folks can find you, all that, in a little bit later. But I am so excited to have you on because I've never talked to an animal communicator before. And I'm so excited, and I'm sure our listeners will be very excited to meet you. So I wanted to ask you, what does an animal communicator do? What do you do? And can you tell me how you got your start?
Well, thanks for having me here today. It's nice to share this with you because a lot of people don't know about animal communication, though it's becoming more popular. I started communicating with animals when I was a young child. I could hear them, understand them, feel them. And then as I got older, as many empaths and psychics do, I became more enthralled with the external world and didn't think about it much anymore. And then I began meditating an hour every morning. And after about 6 months of this, I started hearing my dogs talking to me again. I could understand what they needed, what they wanted. And even then, it didn't quite hit me until my older dog was not feeling well. And I was living in Montecito, California at the time. And someone said, well, why don't you call this lady? She's an animal communicator. And I did. And she was telling me so many things that I already knew, and I thought, I can do this. So I went to Carol Gurney Institute, and Carol lived in Agora Hills at the time. She now lives in North Carolina, and she's an amazing teacher of animal communication. I'm so grateful for her. And that was the start of my animal communication. And animal communication in this regard is telepathic communication with animals, where you silence your mind and your body and then your mind so that you are aware of what you're receiving from the animals, because we all communicate this way, just most of us don't know it because we're so distracted by everything in this world, especially now with media. But animals communicate through smell, pheromones, body language, sound, like we do, and also telepathically. And a lot of it is with pictures. So that's what I do. I help people with behavior. I help animals with their people, really, with behavioral issues, physical issues. I help find lost animals, and transitioning animals. Sometimes they need to know. People need help knowing whether they are ready to go and how they want to go, where they want to be. It's pretty beautiful.
Yeah, it does sound beautiful. So it sounds like you've been doing this for many, many years. And I just think the work that you do is absolutely wonderful. Now, do you work with all animals, or do you limit yourself to fur babies only, or what type of animals do you work with?
I predominantly work with people's fur babies, but that can also be turtles, fish, birds, donkeys, horses, whatever. And then in the wild, which is a completely different experience, communicating with wild animals versus domesticated animals, because there's so much more in the now and in presence and their lives, their what they know is so much simpler, which can sometimes be harder to understand with our complicated minds. But I once was connected, and this will sound crazy to some people, but when I first began, there were a lot of dragonflies where I lived, and I was sitting outside meditating, and I opened my eyes because I could feel a presence near me, and there was a dragonfly sitting on the table in front of me. And so I asked for the permission and placed myself to see through this dragonfly's eyes, and I could see so many different images at once, almost like a fly. I thought, I've got to be making this up. But since then, that was kind of a precursor to spirit letting me know. When I say spirit, I mean like God, universal consciousness, whatever you want to call it, letting me know and helping me to understand that I could actually ask animals to step into their bodies, to feel their bodies, which was natural for me. I just didn't know I was doing it. And also to see through their eyes, which helps me a lot with lost animals, because then I can see where they're going or where they went and where they are.
Oh, that's really cool. So you're like, it sounds like to me that when you're doing your work, your animal communication work, that you're almost like you're putting yourself in the animal's position. Am I hearing that right? That you're there with them, so you're looking through their eyes, and you're feeling their sensations too? Does that happen, or?
Yes. So I use all of my clairs, my clairsentience feeling, my claircognizance knowing, my clairgustance. I can smell, I can taste, I can see. I can use all of these different abilities to connect with the animals. It's just a matter of opening myself up to those experiences. And the way that I do that is by getting my mind out of the way, not thinking, but just being in a state of presence with the animals. A lot of times I'll have people will come to me and want me to communicate with their animals. And when I first communicate with the animals, I need to let them know that I've been asked to communicate sometimes, to let them know that I'm there with a purpose to help and to help their guardians. And I like to call them guardians, not owners, because I don't believe people own animals. They're their guardians.
Right, yeah.
But once I do that, they'll typically open up to me, but not always. I have ones that are shy. I have ones that are fearful. But typically after a while, they if I sit with them long enough, or sometimes I come back to them in a few minutes or a day or so, that they trust me, and then I'm able to get more information. And what I do is I ask a client to send me a photo of the animal where I could see their eyes, a recent photo. And I don't need to have a photo, but it does help me like tune in, as it were, faster. And because I can feel into it and then I connect with them. Our spirits are not just bound to our bodies. We have energy that radiates out from our bodies, and our energy can travel, just like when you feel like someone's about to call you and you pick up the phone, you can feel them. So I just connect with their energy and their aura and their being. And I'll ask the clients to give me 3 questions, but typically I don't get into the questions at first. I just say, tell me what's happening in your life, tell me what's going on. And I use pen and paper, and I sit for like 30 minutes with them, and I just start writing. I just write whatever is coming to my mind. I just let it come out, and then I go over it and then I'll ask questions. And I don't ask from a point of view like, say a client says, my cat won't use the litter box because he's mad at me. And I'll say, well, instead of saying, why are you mad? I'll say, what's the deal with the litter box? Like, why aren't you using the litter box? I don't try to assume that I know. I let the animals speak their piece first. And then we work on why that is. And so I'll get the questions asked, and I try not to drill them. And then I have a Zoom meeting with the client, and we talk about what I got. And a lot of times when I'm going through what the animal likes or they don't like or what's happening, that is evidence so the client actually knows that I have connected with their sweet animal. And then that opens them up to like, okay, she knows that, then what else can she tell me that the animal is saying? So it's really beautiful to watch skeptics. A lot of times it's mostly men. I'll get couples, and as soon as the Zoom room opens up, there's a woman with like her arms open and she's leaning forward, and the man's sitting next to her with his arms crossed and leaning back. And it's so beautiful to watch as we go on. Yeah. How eventually their arms uncross, their legs uncross, they start leaning forward, they start communicating with me, and then we usually find solutions. We work back and forth and we find solutions, or they see things that they hadn't seen before that from their animal's perspective. And it's really beautiful to watch. And animals, their behaviors will change almost immediately. Wow. And I get these beautiful emails, it's a lovely, lovely thing.
Yeah, that does sound wonderful. And so you do virtual sessions, and then do you ever go to someone's house or their place of business as well, or?
Yeah, I've gone to, I went to a sanctuary where a gentleman had 2 draft horses. He had a lot of animals, but I ended up communicating with 2 draft horses and a bear, and he couldn't figure out, he built this beautiful new, 4-acre enclosure for this bear, maybe larger. And there was a pond at the bottom of it, and he couldn't figure out why this bear wouldn't go in the pond. And so I went to their party to celebrate the sanctuaries. It was an anniversary party. And that's not my dog, by the way. That's your dog trying to get your attention.
I apologize. That's my Floki, who's in his crate, who's supposed to be asleep. And he wants out. I can tell you already that's what he wants.
Yeah, he wants to go outside.
He does. He does.
So let me.
Come here. Quiet.
So in this case, this is a good example. When you can tell your animal how long it will be before you can let them go out. Say, okay, really? give me an hour. Because when you say give me an hour, you feel in your body what an hour feels like. Whether you're aware of it or not, you already know. And that's what they get. And I tell clients a lot of times, and my friends, like, when you leave the house, you wouldn't not say goodbye or, say when you're coming back to the people you love. So why not tell your animal, I'll be back in 15 minutes, 30 minutes. And it helps them relax, especially ones with anxiety that are, have past traumas where they don't know if you're coming back. And it's good to give them things to do, like hunt for bugs in the windows or, protect the house. They need to have jobs. But when you let them know how much time, the other thing is to be really, really close to the time when you come back. Try to be as close to when you said you're going to come back so that they trust you and they believe you next time. Hello. I can see your dog now.
Yeah, this is Floki. He's a 7-month-old bulldog, and he is a love.
Yeah, he says he's beautiful.
Yes, I tell him all the time how handsome he is.
Yep.
And I think it's gone to his head, which is fine because I do think he's handsome, and I tell him how cute he is all the time. Bring him on my lap, keep him quiet.
He's telling me that you tell him that. Like, I'm gorgeous. That you tell him he's gorgeous, like he's beautiful.
Yeah,
dog.
I do, absolutely. Boy, this is an interesting development and segue. Oh, who is that, Flo? So let me see if I can keep him quiet by holding on to him. Well, that's a very fascinating story about the bear who wouldn't go on to the pond and all that.
Oh yeah, I didn't finish telling you though. Excuse me, we got distracted by Floki. But yeah, so he built another pool up off, away from the pond, towards the middle of the hill. Pond being at the bottom, obviously. And then when I went out there, I immediately went to the draft horses because they were very messed up. Their bodies were so messed up, and he had them pulling this I guess it was like a stagecoach, for the event, and they were so sore. When they walked up with that stagecoach, the side of my head hurt so much when I looked at one, and then when I felt into the other, my shoulder. And so he immediately took them off, took all that heavy gear off of them. It was so sweet. And he hired a chiropractor, and they had been like heads down and feeling poorly. He said he didn't know what was going on. He hired a chiropractor who came out and worked on him a few times. And then he sent me a video of them running and jumping, and that was amazing. But the bear, so we communicated a little bit with the bear, and he hadn't told me that the bear had been in the pond once and never come back out. So I told him that, and he goes, yeah. And then he was in this little pool, and he had in a tree next to it a ball hanging from a rope. And I said, he wants you to put that ball in the water. And he goes, oh, okay. So we went in the enclosure, and the bear was very sweet with him. And he threw the ball in with the rope. And as soon as that ball hit the water, the bear was in the pool. He was playing and had so much fun. And then as soon as that rope hit the bear, snake, I saw snake. And that bear jumped out of that water, and he's like, what's going on? What's going on? And I said, you need to take the rope off. He thinks it's a snake, and that's why he won't go in the pond. And he was like, oh, hello. So, and that was actually what was kind of the impetus for him listening to getting a chiropractor for the horses. So it was, it sounds logical and obvious, but the way that it happened, and like, it was just, as soon as that rope hit that bear's bottom, I saw a snake in my head, and my mind was going, why is he jumping out of the pool? But in my knowing, it was like, oh, he thinks it's a snake at the same time.
Wow. This is why I'm so glad I had you on for stories like this, because I had some preconceived notions about what an animal communicator does, and I didn't know the variety of animals that you work with, and I didn't know that you would have a real impact into what you see, what you feel, how they're feeling, and the view from their perspective.
Yeah, they share they share images, emotions, and physical sensations, and you can feel what they feel in their body. I can give them clear descriptions that they're caretakers, and then the animal can describe what they're feeling, but like us, they can't diagnose. So I don't diagnose. I always tell people, you need, this is what I got, but they've either been to the vet or they're going to the vet, and a lot of times it will help the vet look at things that they haven't looked at before. But sometimes I see pictures, sometimes I see like movies of memories, and I get the feelings and the emotions. And like I said, I always try to get the animals' perspectives, and I get their essence and personality with the evidential bits, and then and it's different. Just being an animal psychic and being a communicator, because as a psychic, you can get information about the animal and about where it lives and about its people, but actually communicating is where you're listening and tuning in to what the animal has to say to you. And I get it mostly clairaudiently, like I hear it in my head, and that's why I just start writing everything down. And then I also will close my eyes and then feel myself as the animal, and I'll feel through their body if they have any aches or pains. I'll start with the top of my head and go all the way down, and even pretend I have a tail. Can I share a fun story, a cat story? When I first started, this was really fun.
Yeah, I was going to ask you to name one of your, to describe one of your memorable sessions. Go right ahead. Yeah, please.
Well, this is kind of a fun one. So when I first began, my son was in his late 20s, and he didn't believe it. He was like, "Mom, that's such a crock, come on." And he had a girlfriend at the time that did believe in it, and she called me and said, "My cat is throwing up." By the way, I've been praying for something to happen, for spirit to help show my son that it was real. So this happens. Yeah. She says, every time I go out of town, right before right as I'm about to leave out the door with my suitcase, my cat will throw up in a spot that is the hardest spot to clean, like the fringe of the rug, or a pillow, a wool pillow, or, something that's just super difficult. And she said, I just can't figure it out. So I thought, well, all right, here we go. Perfect. And so her cat showed me that she had, and that she gave me no more information than that. I wouldn't let her give me any more information. So the cat showed me, the things that she liked. Well, first of all, she just showed me this guy coming into the apartment. And when it was time for her to eat, sometimes he would feed her and sometimes he wouldn't. And she showed me that he would take his side of his foot and just kind of push her away in the kitchen, be like, "No, cat, stop." Wasn't loving to the cat at all, didn't care, forgot to feed her. And then all of a sudden, it's like, boom, I'm sitting in the cat's body and I'm in the hallway and I'm looking at this guy in a bedroom, because I can see a chest of drawers on the left, and I'm looking through the door into the bedroom, the chest of drawers, and he's standing at the chest of drawers and he's pulling open a drawer and he pulls up a pair of panties, and it's this burgundy lace panties, and then he's looking through the other drawers, and I thought, oh my God, is this real? You always constantly think, am I just making this up? So I told her what I saw, the lamp is here, the chest of drawers and she said, oh my God, she sits there all the time. And that's exactly what she would see. And she said, I had a weird feeling about that guy. I knew I shouldn't be asking him. He's my neighbor to watch my cat when I go. So as soon as she stopped having him watch, actually, I told the cat she was going to stop having him do that, and she never puked again when she was leaving to go away for work or on a trip. And then, of course, my son was like, Mom, tell me where those panties were and what they look like. He's gonna kill me for this if he ever hears this. But I said they're burgundy lace, and they were in the top shelf on the right. And he goes, I know exactly which ones and where they are. Oh my God. And that was like that was his opening up to like, okay, maybe this is real. And since then he sent me people to help.
Oh my God. Wow. What a gift you have. That is amazing. What a truly wonderful experience. So yeah, so it was clear that her cat was giving some sort of warning sign. Hey, pay attention. I have something to say. Wow. What about something to say? So, I asked, I told many people that I was going to have you on, and they were all curious about what you do. And I said, we're going to cover that. And she wanted to know, my friend wanted to know, how do animals view us or see us? Are we like one big animal to them? Are we a human? And are they send us psychic messages at all, or?
Yeah, so animals have souls just as we do. They're no different other than their body form and their communication style. Mm-hmm. So they all have different personalities. They all communicate with us. Yeah, they're communicating with us all day long. We know an animal will come and put their paw or their head on us when they want some lovin's, or if they want to go outside, they'll bark at us to get out of the crate. They will, they'll bring things to the door that we don't want. They're just different. And I believe that before we had all of these distractions, people were more aware of animals' needs, and that they're sentient beings, because we didn't have these distractions. And I like to think that, I don't know if it's true, but probably many, hundreds and thousands of years ago, that people were nicer to animals because they were more aware that they were sentient beings. Of course, not everyone, because not all humans are nice to other humans either, but overall, animals have become, like property, and, we eat them, and I don't eat them, but, billions are killed every year. It's horrible. But, they're sentient beings. They know. Animals, plants talk to me too. I can walk through a room and I'll hear, I'm thirsty. And I'll look over in the corner and it doesn't look thirsty. It doesn't look thirsty, but I'll go and feel the soil. And I'm like, I don't have to anymore, but I used to feel it. But I'm like, okay, you're thirsty.
I could have used you when I had all my plants that all died. I joke that I kill fake plants. That's all. But I have a black thumb for sure. I could have used you with all my plants. I even had, getting off topic kind of, but I even had an air plant. I'm like, let me try an air plant. And the thing died. What he did. Anyway.
Right. So you grew up not being tuned to plants. You probably didn't.
No.
You're just, everyone's wired differently. We all have it in us, but we're all wired differently. Some people are more in tune with other humans. Some people are more in tune with sitting in front of a canvas and painting. Some people are more in tune with their work. So, but the possibilities are endless for us.
Yeah, I agree. And you're so right about people getting distracted, because I know I'm guilty of it. Watching the news, just depressing and upsetting. Being on your phone, being on my phone. This makes me think. You make me think that I need to be more present with my animals. So I'm going to get quiet, and I'm going to meditate and I'm going to see if they're going to talk to me because, well, I might use your services in the future because we have 4 dogs here. One is my fiance's sister's dog, but we have 3 of our own. We have Bella, she's our old lady. She's a German Shepherd who's 10. We have Kala, who's we call her our crazy hyper girl. She's another German Shepherd, and she's 5. And then we have little Floki, who's 7 months old, a bulldog. So all of them varying different personalities, all of them with different issues. And I'm looking to see how we can manage their lives better, keep them happy and healthy. So I may take you up on your services because I think
I would love to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's always been so interesting to me that like people take young horses away from their mothers. They put them in a trailer, don't tell them where they're going, get them to where they have them, and then when the horse doesn't behave, they punish them. But how frustrating would it be to be an animal, to be not told where you're being taken, where you're going, when your human is coming back or not, having issues that they don't understand, so that's why they act out a lot of times. Sometimes they run away for those reasons. I have animals that run away because they don't want to be there anymore. And that's a really delicate situation,
Yeah.
And that the hardest part about being an animal communicator, honestly, is dealing with the humans, not the animals.
That doesn't surprise me. That does not surprise me.
I had a lost cat. I had a lost cat recently. That I love when I find the lost ones when they want to be home. It's such a beautiful feeling. And this lady called me and said, "My cat just ran away. My mom's watching the cat, and can you help me?" I said, "Yeah." And I didn't have a photo or anything. I just said, "Give me the cat's name and where the cat is, Connecticut, and the name of the cat." And what I did was I tapped into this lady's energy, which brought me to the cat's energy. Mm-hmm. And then I saw the cat go out of a house with a lot of trees and a big, big backyard. And then there was a river and there were 2 bridges. One was cement, one was stone. And then I saw the cat on the other side of the river, went across the cement one on the other side of the river, and it was in either a semicircle or a circle, and I knew it was either concrete or rock, and it was down in a hole. And 20 minutes later, she said her mom went out, and there's definitely a small river, crossed the cement bridge, went to the left, was calling, and looked down in a window well of a house that was stone and cement, and the cat was stuck down in the hole. And I thought, oh, thank goodness. Yeah. Because sometimes, I'll have them for weeks. I'll help people with lost animals and people, they're like, you got to help me. You got to help me. I had a guy in Africa, in South Africa, looking for a dog, and this dog did not want to be found. It was a feral dog that they had caught, and they were taking it to someone's house with a little yard, and this dog bolted out of the crate. Yeah. So he had been there for days looking for it. And I said, I think it was like the 5th day we were working on it. And I said, he's showing me going down a red dirt road and I see elephants. And the guy goes, Stacey, I know, he's laughing at me, he's like, I know that you think there are elephants here because I'm in South Africa. He said, but there are no elephants around here. I said, you can say whatever you want, but I know there were elephants that this dog saw. And they're by a gate on a red road. And then he called me the next day and he said, I was going down this road by this other area where I told him to look. And there was a monastery and there were these 2 elephants on these short pillars on either side of the gate. And the monk was standing outside the gate and said, yeah, I saw that dog yesterday.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Wow. That's fascinating.
That's fun.
Amazing connection you have. Truly amazing. So before we get to where people can find you, if you had to give someone last minute a tip or hint for communicating better with their animals or any animal, what can we do to make a difference?
Well, I would say the first thing to do is to open your awareness. And when I say that, what I mean is to be aware of what's going through your head.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel, because first it's going to be a feeling. You're going to feel like something's off, or you're going to feel like they're trying to communicate with you. And in that feeling, it's intuitive, and a lot of people don't trust this because they're not well practiced in it because they're distracted, but you're going to feel something is off or they're trying to communicate with you. And the first thing I would say is to be aware of what's going on in the head as you're feeling it. Like, is your head telling you, like, trying to discern all the different things that it could be, which is fine. But then after those thoughts run, instead of being distracted and going off to something else, close your eyes, take a deep breath, imagine your heart opening and your animal's heart opening, and then and visualize the hearts coming together or the energy coming together. You can do it as light or just a feeling, but you're visualizing that feeling, I want to say, and then see what comes to you. Then see if you have any thoughts or you hear something in your head that might be coming from your animal, because it probably is, because it's a heart-to-heart connection, because love is a magnet. Love is a magnet. And that's really what starts it. That's where it begins.
Right. I'm definitely going to take your tips and I'm going to use them this week with my animals.
Great.
I'll let you know how it goes. So how do people find you? I know you have a website, but tell us how they can reach you.
Yeah, I have a website, and it's myanimalconnection.com. Simple as that. So I like calling it My Animal Connection because, like, I can be your animal connection, but you are also your own animal connection. So it's sort of a double entendre there.
Oh, great. So I want to thank you again for being on my podcast. I really appreciate it. This has been, it's been a fascinating conversation. And please, folks, if you're out there, please book with Stacey. I know I'm going to, and it sounds like it's life-changing and life-affirming. So thank you, Stacey, very much.
Thank you so much.
All right, have a good day, and thank you, everyone, for listening.